What I thought I'd do here is to do a quick review of both the user side user options and that including the registration. Um, and then we're going to jump over into the administration side and then review those options so you can sort of see some of the changes that have been made. So first of all, home is obviously it's going to get you to this page. Contact us would pop up an option to send a message. I have this. I set up an email address here for john.bone. Uh, this is just primarily for testing to make sure it's done. This is something we can modify to redirect it to anyone. We could actually send it to, let's say, maybe members or membership, and then carbon copy to an additional email address or a group of addresses. So it's pretty flexible, but it's pretty simple. We also give you an option to ask a question or whatever. So we might add in here just a comment or feature, which would be like the catch-all, that type of thing. So that's what this is, contact this is all about. Let's go into the registration. Before I do that, I want to just show you here is that when I hover over that button, and these are called tooltips, but I added here to say, well, why should I register if I can actually see all this stuff already? And the idea is register will get you some special features and more options. Options like you could become a contributing author, and I would suspect that we could actually have other things like special emails going out to for maybe any entry based upon, let's say, a knowledge category. So it's more of an educational type of broadcast um, for a user that wants to pick up on some of the latest gadgets, for example. So anyway, let's click on login. And if you already know your login name and password, that's cool. You can go ahead and enter that in. If not, you can create a new user or your own login profile. And I'm just going to type in here my name, but I'm going to use one of my other email addresses, and I'm going to put in here LWBBWL. That's a pretty popular one I use. And the email address, I'm going to use my Virgin Islands company, 1sdpi.net. And I'll put in here, and we can make this optional or we can code it. And I notice there's some duplications. I'll ask the programmers to take and manage that to take care of those. And then we put a password in. So I'm just going to put a simple password in. Come on, come on. Okay, and let's come over here. All right. And home country. And US here. And so keep me informed of via the newsletters. And so we're going to add that option to the system. Updates about new features by email. And this is where I was talking about. We probably will add a little bit more into this area to say, I want to be updated when there's a new video and maybe a knowledge type of entry. So we'll expand that. And yes, I want to be a contributing author. So this doesn't mean that you get this right granted to you automatically, that the administrator would be approving it. And yes, I'm not a robot. So, and that will kick that off. And so you can see up here, I'm going to go ahead and add this. I've got one of these password savers. Go ahead and save it. It's fine. And so that email has been sent off to the administrator, to the administrator's email box. And so let me open up my email box. I'm going to navigate over to that one box. And let's do a send and receive. And there is our registration popping up. I forgot that I didn't realize that you were on the wrong screen. So let me drag this over so it makes some sense. That was the email that I just received. So let me drag it over so you can see all this stuff. And so it basically is, it's coming from cirrusworldtour.club. I can change that .club to .com. I just didn't have your access to Hoover, but and we can have both. It doesn't make any difference. And then yes, I want to confirm that yes, that was a good email address that I entered in. Once that's confirmed, I can then say, okay, let's go back in, and we're going to log in here as LWBBWL, and I put my password in. And this is again my password saver is trying to save it. Get rid of that stuff. And so you see that the top of the menu here, it does change. We still have our home button up there. We have our manage articles. We don't have any articles yet. And this is a good point. I can't do anything about an article because the administrator hasn't approved it yet. So I can go ahead and contact them, and that'll give me an option to send them off an email. So let's go, or contact us. We'll give it back to that same contact menu and whatever. So and a little bit about my profile. So I can change my own password again. I can then look at my profile. Um, so basic, pretty skinny information. We're going to update this a little bit and so on. So we need to complete this side of it. We need to jump out and go over to the admin for a second. So let's just do that right now. So we're going to log out here, and I'm going to go back up to the top of my screen. I know you can't see this, but it's cirrusworldtour.club/admin, and it gives me my admin login. And you can see that we successfully logged in. And let's go over to our users. And that LWB is the one that I just put in, and say, yes, we're going to approve them as a contributing author. So until you actually flip this switch, they cannot really do too much at all. So you can actually undo them too. If they get a little bit too wild, then you can take them off. Clearly, you could always delete them, and they'd have to go through that entire creation process. I did test also that if I was a contributing author and I had a lot of articles and put out there, and then you decided to delete it, their articles still stay. So it'd be under their name, and you can go back and you can find those and you can trim those off. We're going to review that when I come back to this this section here. Let's see if we go back here to one of our logins. Let's log back in again. Not as an admin, we're going to log in as LWBBWL. And my password, if I can type it correctly, it'd be great. So let's do this again. And so now I'm logged back in again. I'll cancel this here. So now we're talking about this managing articles and no data. We haven't put anything in here yet. So I'm going to go and say add an article. And let's see, I need to find something to write about here that's sort of semi-real. So what I'm going to do, let's make it really simple here. I'm going to start up another screen here. And let's see if I've got something here I can, let's Forgotten Coast Flyers. We'll just just going to use this site. Come down here and let's select a page that's got a few pictures on it. So right there, that's a good picture. And you got some good options there. So let's just do this right here. You're going to use this picture right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right mouse click this thing here and then save this image as. And so what I'll do is I'll put it in my download folder, and I can come up here and in-house training or whatever. And let's come over here to, and we'll call it a feature. That's cool. And this is where I'm going to do the browse. I'm going to browse and pick the picture I just downloaded. I can put training up here. And here we can put in something simple. Okay. Let's go down to the bottom of the screen and we're going to say submit this. There's a little bit of a pause here, and we're going to work on that a little bit more to actually increase the, probably resize the image on the user's side of it so it uses their workstation, and then compress the image a little bit to make the upload a little faster. So, so you can see here that the article is now pending. We can go back and edit it, saying I didn't really put enough text in here, so maybe I can go back and I can get a little bit more details on that stuff. And so let's do this. Let's come back over to our administrator side, and let's look at our articles. It's going to force me to log back in again. That's fine. It timed it out, so in the event. So here you see the article that's sitting here. Archiving it means I don't want to delete it, so I'm gonna put it and save it away. So you might have articles that might be a great article, but you know, after sometimes they get old, and you want to put them away, and you could always go back and revisit it again, and then say republish it as a new article or update it, or you know, something that has done history. You have the direct control to edit it yourself. You can actually delete it if there was something saying, hey, this is not approving, or I can then do an approve and publish. One of the ideas that I added to this last Friday, and that was the administrator is going to be editing this text, and if he's got any kind of question about the text, then you want to be able to talk to the author. And let's assume we got, you know, 200 authors that are contributing articles to make this thing really robust. That's the whole purpose of this. I can then click on the message and I have a direct link to talk to that individual user specifically. You notice it doesn't have any emails. It's not asking for emails. We know who that person is that wrote it. And you as the administrator, or however you logged in. So if you wanted to assign the admin function to another individual, not necessarily under the name admin, but it could be anybody's name, and they would be the primary admin, we could lock in their email address and plug that in. So they can type a subject here, they can type in their message text, and then click the send button, and it's off. And that goes into their email box, and assuming that they would respond to you in your email box, because that's what we're doing here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, let's approve this. It says the article is now published. Very cool. Let's jump back over to our manage articles. Let's refresh this here. Going to log out again here. Let's just do this here. And log in. Oh, come on. Let's try this again here. And so now we're back in again here. And you can see that it's now has been published. And so I can, this filter box up at the top up here is allowing, let's say if you've got a user that, let's say you've uh, asked them to write something for you once a week or whatever it might be, and they're looking for their own articles, they could go ahead and do that too. They could select on saying, how do you, what are we looking for? Something that's been already approved, or show me everything that's pending. Search on the title or a start date, end date, and so on. And so you can have, hundreds upon hundreds of different kinds of articles. So that's in the managing of the articles. Contact us. We've already reviewed this. Login password for the administrator, and so on. And so pretty straightforward. If I just click the send button just to test it, and you can see is that there are some fields that are required, most of them. So anyway, so let's come back over to our administrator, and let's just look at some of the things on the dashboard here. Let's log back in as administrator. All right. So on our dashboard, we give the number of users that are on the system right now. 10 articles have been published, and we have 2 journeys. And I'm going to show you what we've done on the journey side, and then we can talk a little bit about that too. So let's go look at the articles. This is where we put other articles in. Just scroll through them. You can delete them, you can archive them, and so on. Users, and we might remove, not remove, but crunch this up a little bit more. I'm being very optimistic and saying is that we're going to have hundreds of users on here. And so, I'd like to be able to see, at least 20 lines in the simple view. My screen resolution is a little bit higher than normal because of the vision issues. But still, we want to have nice, clear, readable lines. We'll probably alternate this grid with a little bit of shading. So line 1 and 3 and 5 would be a little bit tinted. So it's easier to follow across the page. This is where we turn on as an active user. So if I want to say that this guy, I'm not going to remove him, but I'm going to inactivate him. I can put him into an inactive status, or I can completely delete him. I don't like what they're writing, so we're going to take them off as a contributing author, and they would not be able to add any more articles at all. So they did subscribe to the newsletter. They did subscribe for any kind of updates, give a little bit of information about this, and so on. I'm going to give you another control here too, allowing you to double click on the line or the user, this line itself, and it'll open up a profile administrator. So let's say if you notice a spelling, or maybe they got the wrong home airport code or whatever, you'd be able to modify that and fix it. You'll also be able to override their password. So if you're talking to somebody and they're having some problems, instead of doing, well, click on the send a reset button and all this other stuff to change your password email, you can directly go in and enter in a password that will change it. So, and what I'm going to make is on your side, I'm going to make it so that the password is visible so that you can actually see, well, if I'm calling you on the phone saying, John, I can't log in, is that you can actually look at my profile and say, well, you had your cap locks turned on. So when you thought you were in an upper lower case, it was reversed. And that's why you're having a problem. So you'll help them a little bit. Newsletter subscriptions. These are the people that have subscribed. And so we can say, I want to take this one guy off, take one of my email addresses off and say, yeah, delete that guy. And he's gone. Okay. Let's talk about the journey a little bit, and this is what controls our globe. And so Um, you can add multiple journeys, and I did one here on Saturday, but let's scroll down so you can sort of see what I did here. And you were going to send me, John, you were going to send me a revision because I got something incorrect in here. So where it's incorrect, you can just go in and click on the edit, and you can fix any points in here. So if you needed to edit a spot, then you can just go ahead and correct it, and then click on the update, and you're done. So let's go back, and I'm just going to go back to the previous one. Now, what I did here is I went and looked at world rounders to get this young lady that flew around the world. And there's an active button here. So active means that change that globe to that profile or that journey. And so when I click that one, you'll become inactive. I can delete the thing or I can edit hers again. But what I want to show you is let's go ahead and change this person to active. And we're going to come back to the globe here. Let's go back into home. And you see what happened. Now, I'm not really too sure how to resolve this, and I'll have to have you give me some instructions. But you notice here is that the Earth is turning as it should properly turn, but her route was going from west to east. So I'm not too sure. I guess what we can do is just leave this the way it is and just show all the points. I mean, she made a lot of stops. One feature that I don't know if you actually discovered yourself, but if you put the mouse on the globe here, and yes, it'll show you all the countries and all that stuff, but you can put your mouse down. Let's see if I can do it here, and I'll turn this on the poles. See if I can get everybody in here. I don't have it properly centered right, but you get the idea here is that I can actually control the rotation of the globe. And a refresh will put it back the way it was. So anyway, I hope that this has been beneficial. Give me any kind of notes. I'm still making some notes of little oddities that I'm finding, and let's go back and put you back in as active, and that's done. And I'm going to refresh my page, and you're back on first base in the pole position. Anyway, so let me know what you think, and have any other ideas. This, I think, is going to be a great springboard to do lots of things that it's got some really cool features, and we can build a lot more into it. Anyway, thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.